Good morning. Thursday morning. Let's see, September 30th. Coming up to the end. Heading into October. Wendy Chadwick. Good morning to you. Your name does appear on my screen. Sally Crocker. Good to see you this morning. Deanne Fine, good morning. Lori Agassi, welcome to you this morning. Janisa, good morning to you. Jonathan, good morning. Looking forward to connecting with you this morning. We're, for those of you who are aware, we are at 9 a.m. We're going to try to meet up at Jonathan and Anandi's new house up in Pine Grove so that we can help them unload their U-Haul trailer. So anybody who's able, you're welcome to do that. There's my mom. Good morning. And Jan Akins, I saw your name go by. There was a couple other names. Sorry, I'm not hitting everybody. But yeah, we're going to look forward to a good day today. Dana Kreshak, welcome to you. We are in Psalm 30 today. This is a Psalm of David. And it's interesting that this Psalm is said to be written to be sung at the dedication of the temple. So it's interesting. It makes me smile because, David wasn't around when the temple was completed and dedicated. But it was his idea to build the temple. He wanted to do it. He's the one who brought it up. God said, I don't need a temple. But David felt bad, he was living in this palace that he had built for himself, and yet, the tabernacle was the thing where the Ark of the Covenant was, and that God had asked them to build was the tabernacle. But David says, no, I want to build a temple suitable to our God. And God says to him, David, have I ever asked you to build me a temple? No, I asked you to build me the tabernacle. But I will build you a house, God says. And that's when he makes the covenant with David that someone from his household will always be on the throne. I love that about God. And, David's desire to do something for God, but God says, no, I don't need that. But I will allow your son to build me a temple. But I'm going to build you a house. Love that. So David, because it was his idea, his desire to build a temple, he actually created the blueprints to build the temple and all of the design details and everything. He gave that to Solomon, and Solomon carried out the work of building the temple. So it's not surprising, because David did all that work, that he wouldn't also write a psalm. Hey, when you're dedicating that temple, even though I'm not going to be around, sing this song. So, and it's an interesting psalm of David because the temple is never mentioned in the psalm. So I think that's interesting. But what he does say is how God was with him in the ups and downs of life. And I think it's his way of passing on that knowledge to Solomon, passing on that knowledge to the people who have come to gather to worship God in the dedication of the temple. He's saying, there's going to be times that are good and times that aren't. And we keep our eyes on the Lord the entire time. Probably this psalm was written late in David's life, because it seems to point to an illness that he was experiencing. David was on the throne until he was 70 years old, and more than one person thinks that he probably should have abdicated his throne earlier. He dealt with health issues later in life. He made a couple bad decisions. He should have let Solomon take over earlier. But here he is writing about what appears to be an illness. And he's just trying to trust God throughout. So I'm just going to read it because I think it's relevant to us and our life experience. Verse 1 says, I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up and have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. I think he's speaking literally of a time of being sick and God healing him. O Lord, you have brought my soul up from Sheol. You restored me from life, or to life, from among those who go down to the pit. So he was thinking he was going to die over this illness, and he cried out to God, and God healed him. Sing praises to the Lord, O you his saints. Now he's calling all the peoples to recognize that this is the way God works. When we cry out to him, he hears, he can heal, he has the power to do so. Sing praises to the Lord, you his saints, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, and his favor is for a lifetime. And David has experienced this many times in his life, and I think maybe closer to the writing of this psalm would be later in his life, where he made the poor decision of counting the people. He called for a census, and which displeased the Lord because it revealed a lack of trust in God and more of a trust in his mighty men. And God judged David and Israel for that. And so he says, his anger is but a moment, and his favor for a lifetime. God relented. He continued to bless David. Excuse me. Weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes in the morning. As for me, I said, in my prosperity I shall never be moved. By your favor, O Lord, you made my mountain stand strong. But you hid your face from me, and I was dismayed. So I don't know if David is saying that my eyes were on the wrong thing, that I was looking around at my kingdom, everything was happening. Maybe this is a reference to that census he had taken. Like, yep, I shall never be moved. This is great. Look at all this, I'm going to count it all. And then God got dismayed. He hid his face from him, and then David realized I had done something wrong. And then he cried out to God. Verse 8, to you, O Lord, I cry, and to the Lord I plead for mercy. What profit is there in my death? If I go down to the pit, will the dust praise you? Will it tell of your faithfulness? Hear, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my helper. So he's crying out to God. God, relent. What profit is there in my death? If I still have breath in my lungs, I'm going to praise you. Verse 11, and here's how the psalm ends. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, that my glory may sing your praise and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. And this psalm, I think you can easily attach different parts of it to the end of David's life and these experiences that I've alluded to already. But they really are indicative of life itself, and how at one moment we're singing God's praise because we're looking around and things are going great. We're just enjoying creation. We're enjoying the prosperity that God has given us. We're looking at, we have good health, we have whatever, the things that we enjoy. And it feels like sometimes just in a moment, all of it can turn around. And we're suddenly thrust into a situation where we don't feel great. We maybe are experiencing a physical illness or a doctor's prognosis that does not look good. Or we're suffering the loss of a family member, or any number of things that trouble our hearts and our souls. And I think the wisdom of David here in this psalm is in his life experience, both when he is feeling prosperous and when he is maybe has one foot in the grave, he is turning to God. He recognizes that God has control over all of it, and he continues to turn to him. And he recognizes the temporary nature of our times of mourning and difficulty. you really do recognize that, hey, when times are good, be thankful, rejoice in the Lord. But we should probably have wisdom to say, these things are in God's hand, and He may allow us to experience difficulty some point in our future. So rejoice for what it is. And then when we are going through that difficulty, that illness, that setback, that disappointment, that sorrow, we should cry out to God, because God can also restore our joy in the morning when that calamity is past. And it really, to me, points out the ups and downs of life. And sometimes, even in the course of a single day, you could wake up with just rejoicing in the Lord, what a great day. And then later in that day, experience some really difficult things. And the very next day, feel great again. And it's like, Lord's really encouraged me. I feel strong and have energy. So even in the course of a single day, you can have highs and lows, emotional ups and downs. And we have to recognize that God is in all of that, every step, every word of good news and every word of bad news. He's right there with us, and we cry out to Him in the low times, and we rejoice and give thanks to Him when those things have resolved and we're feeling strong and feeling good. But both are a part of our life, and we shouldn't overly, this isn't said in the psalm, but I think what it was implied to me in my own heart as I work through things in my own life, that don't estimate any one feeling you have, whether it's an up or a down, because it's going to change. Rejoice in the ups when they're up, and just enjoy it for what it is, without the sense that it has to stay this way, because life, we know from life, it doesn't. And when things are down, we shouldn't get overly despairing, because life won't stay that way. We're gonna have an upswing again, though. Especially when you're in your downtime, it feels like, and this is the way our mind can work, we can compress a bunch of life events together in our mind, though they're spread out, and there's plenty of rejoicing in between those events. We can compress them, and it feels like this characterizes my life, and we can broad brush our experience with these difficult times, and begin to question things, and why does this even happen? And we have to remember with wisdom that there's actually a space between these hard times, and that upswing of our emotions or the change of circumstance to the better is probably not that far off. Though when you go through it, a difficult time, it can't come fast enough, right? So rejoicing in the ups, crying out to God in the downs. His anger lasts for a short time, but His favor lasts for a lifetime. It was David's words, something like that. And there might be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. Good words of wisdom from an old man in his last years of life, as he is endeavoring to trust God, though he's still making some errors in his judgment. He's still learning from the Lord, and God is still teaching him, and we need to learn the same. We bless you today and this weekend. For those of you who are able to help us unload Jonathan and Anandi's U-Haul at their house this morning at 9, we'll see you there. Otherwise, be blessed this weekend. We'll see you Sunday. If not, right back here on Monday morning. We will see you then.